Hey guys, how's it going? So, I was just wanting to take a little bit of time out to go over some scales on how you can access your fretboard a little differently, see how the underlying chords, how you can bring out a melody or maybe even one note to make your melodies or your solos pop a little bit more, right? Um, we're going to start off with our pentatonics. This is kind of the quintessential scale to get started on. Everybody learns it just because it's pretty easy. There's only 6 notes, right? So we're going to start in the key of B, right? That's kind of my favorite scale to mess around with, just because it seems like it's really easy to flow through that scale on the guitar. All these notes seem like they just line up a little easier. Like if I start on B right here, right? So that's just one string, but it's very easy to flow through it. Okay, so um, now of course, if we're going to be learning our B minor pentatonic scale, it would help if we knew the notes, right? So the first note is going to come on our low E string on the 7th fret, right? That's going to be our root, our B note, right? The next note is going to be on the 10th fret of our low E string, and that's going to be a D, right? On the 7th fret of the A string is going to be an E note. The 9th fret of our A string is going to be an F sharp. The 7th fret of our D string is an A note. And then the 9th fret, we're back at our root. That is going to be our B, right? So if we were to keep continuing on with that scale, right? So this is another important thing. For scales, these notes are never going to change, right? So that's why it's very helpful to actually figure out your whole fretboard, figure out, like if I was to play on the 15th fret of the high E, I'm playing a G, right? Playing a G note right here. So it's just very helpful to be able to figure out where these notes are, right? So these notes are never going to change. These are going to be the 6 notes all throughout if you are jamming in the key of B minor, right? So for your pentatonics, of course, right? So the next note is going to be on the 7th fret of the D string, 9th fret on the G string. So these are going to be a D, and then on this 9th fret, that's your E, right? On the 7th fret on your B string is an F sharp. 10th fret on your B string is an A note, right? And on the 7th fret, that's going to be your B note. We're back at our root, right? So if we were to play this scale, nice, right? But to me, it's not really musical. It's more like an exercise if you do that, right? So you may have heard a few guitarists say, "Don't let the scale play you." That's precisely what you're doing if you just go, right? That's no bueno, man. That's not musical at all. That's more of an exercise. So now it's going to be up to us to figure out how to play these notes in different phrases, different sequences, right? So if we broke this down, you got 7, 10 on your low E, then it goes to a 7th fret on your A, right? What if we went 7, 10, and then we go to the 12th fret on your low E? Right? So now you got, and then the next note in this scale is on your 9th fret, right? So, and you got a note right here. Then you go to your 12th fret on your A string, right? Right? So we're only playing 2 strings right here, but we're accessing 6 notes, right? Very helpful. So now it seems like you're opening up this scale just a little bit more instead of just going. Right? It's already a little bit more musical, just bringing in an extra note on this string, right? So we'll look at this again. That's pretty cool. Now we're going to look at something that's very helpful to me. Now you might not be able to connect the dots in this certain way, but this just really helped me see it a little differently. So we'll start with just a B power chord. So to be able to play a power chord, you got to have, of course, your root, your B, and you got to have a 5th, right? And then it tops back off with your octave, with your root, right? So if we were to take this fifth out, you just have a B. Right? So if we were to look at this, you know on your low E, it's going to go 7-10. So let's keep this kind of, this chorded position, right? So now if we slide up to the 10th fret, when we looked at it, we can see that on the 12th fret, that's going to be the next note in the scale, right? So let's keep that idea going. So let's go to the 7th fret on the A, right? So if I went to the 9th fret on the G string, that's going to be your octave. So if I continue that on, the next note is on your 9th fret on your A, right? So if I go and continue on with that, it's the 11th note on the G, right? And then we got a 7th fret on your D. So if I was to continue on with that, your octave is on your 10th fret of your B string. The next note is on your 9th fret of your D. So the next note would be on the 12th fret of the B, right? So right, so we just went through those notes. But what if I took that and I didn't play the guitar so vertically, right? I wasn't just going straight up and down. Because once you start going straight up and down, it starts to become a little bit more predictable. What if I play this a little bit more horizontally, right? So instead of going, I go. Right? Now I'm not saying that you should never play, because sometimes that couldn't be very helpful, but I just think it opens up the scale a little bit if you bring these other ideas to it, right? So you could also do some really shreddy stuff with it too. So if we took that whole idea, right? So we had this kind of idea, 7, 10, 12. So what happens if we go? You can still do some cool stuff with it, or you go. Also get something very, very bendy and bluesy, right? So it's just how you choose to look at the scale, right? So we'll look at another thing. So a lot of people, when you play a scale, you could go 7, 10, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 10, 7, 10, right? But what if we took that idea and when you're ascending down the strings, you descended with your notes, right? So if we went 10, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 7, 10, 7, right? So now, when you're going up the strings again, we're going to ascend with these strings, with these notes. So we're going to go. Right? So even doing that, it sounds a little differently. It doesn't sound so predictable because most people's ears, we're going to hear that and think, okay, that's cool. I've heard that a million times. But now it's up to you to figure out how to maybe make these notes go in a different phrase, a different sequence to communicate with 7 billion people. It's up to you to figure out how these 12 notes are going to sing, right? So you got to figure out what you're going to be able to do to communicate with people, right? So another cool thing to do is your scales, right? If you can figure out how to bend, so that's an important thing to master, right? Because bending is not just feeling cool to look like Eddie Van Halen, right? There's actually a method to it. There's some theory to it. So if we were to bend, I'm not just bending just to bend, right? There's a sweet spot to it. So if you were to do a full bend, you technically just want to slide up to this note. You want to bend up to that. So if you go, maybe add a little English on it at the end, that's how you start making a guitar sing, right? So if we were to maybe start looking at it like these 3 notes per string. So if I took that last note and I go, it sounds a little bit more musical, and it sounds like I'm kind of shredding, right? I'm not necessarily doing anything that crazy because there's only 6 notes here, man. So once you're able to start connecting these dots, it really opens up the fretboard, right? So we could take this, and if I started maybe like a little pre-bend, right? It'll help you out a lot, right? So I'll kind of just go over a little chord progression and maybe show you how you can start using some of these ideas to your advantage, right? So this is just going to be back in B minor, D major, whichever you'd like to call it, and I'll see what kind of noise I can make with it, see if you like it. Yeah, hopefully this has been a little helpful to you. If you'd like to see more of this stuff, just let me know. Peace.